and welcome to Grace Family Church. At Grace, we want everyone to have the opportunity to discover and grow in their faith. That's why we run the Alpha Film series every year. Alpha is a space for you to ask the tough questions, to challenge ideas you may have, and to learn about the Christian faith. We meet once a week for 10 weeks, have a meal together, watch a video, and talk, then discuss in groups what we have watched. We'd love you to join us. So head to our website where you can sign up to attend. We're busy with 2 new series at Grace Kids this month. A great storyteller can pull you in and make you forget everything else that is going on around you. This month, your pre-primary kids will be on an adventure, discovering that when Jesus starts talking, it's time to listen, because Jesus teaches us important things. And your primary kids are going to discover in remote control that even when we face unexpected circumstances, we can respond to them with self-control. We can trust that we don't need to rush in or take matters into our own hands. Don't forget to grab a Faith at Home card so you can continue chatting to your kids about these truths at home. We're kickstarting 2022 at Grace Youth with our Dare to Dream series. We want to start our year strong and have a clear vision and goal for the rest of the year. So we're inviting all our youth to join at the Umhlanga campus on the 28th for an awesome night of worship, fun, and small group time. Like we say at Grace Youth, life is better together, and we want to do life with you. And if you want to lead at youth in 2022, KG wants to connect with you. So email KG@Grace and join the team. Don't miss the opportunity to register for the 2022 Wholeness Counseling Training course starting online tomorrow night. If you've done the Wholeness course and you want to become a lay counselor or want to enhance your coffee cup conversation skills, then register online today. This course will give you practical tools and training to be a part of guiding people in their journey to wholeness. Get in touch with Counseling at Grace for more info or sign up to join us online tomorrow night. Before we continue with our service, remember, if you need help in any way, we're here for you. Join our social media community or get in touch on our website.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Grace Family Church Online Campus. It is so great to be meeting with you guys digitally today. I'm Kerry.
Hello, I'm Tom. Awesome to be with you guys. So yeah.
I got a little bit of sun this weekend, if no one else can tell. If you were in sunny South Africa, you will know the pain and the heat that I am in today. Thanks for going close up so that you can see my red.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you. We've also got some exciting news.
Yes, we do indeed. So Esty, who is one of our digital host leaders, I'm sure some of you guys have interacted with her online. She has just had a little baby boy called Jaden. We are so excited. So congratulations, Esty. If you are also maybe looking to be a digital host like she is, we are always open to having new volunteers, so we would love to have you join the team.
And Esty, we just want to say, congratulations. We're so excited for you. I hope you're not online watching, because
I hope so,
if you're online now, then that's pretty dedicated.
That's over dedication, pretty much.
We'll check now. So if you want to comment, you can comment. We can actually follow the comments live here. So shout out, say hi. But we're also excited for Alpha coming up. So Alpha course, it's something we've done at Grace for many, many years. I know I've been a part of it. You've been a part of Alpha for years.
I have. It's such a phenomenal course, Tom. Honestly, it's somewhere that is just life-changing. I've seen it personally. I've felt it personally. It is a safe space where people can ask those big life questions. It's a safe space where you can come and say, I don't agree with this, or
you're
wanting
one of those.
to know. I was one of those.
You're one of those arguers.
I was the protagonist in the story.
I've had those in my groups.
Yeah. So it's a safe space for you to be that. If I'm there and now look at me. So started from the bottom, now I'm here. So it got to be.
Awesome. We're going to tell you more about how Alpha actually works, but for now, check out this video.
Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions, like why am I here? Where am I heading? Is there more to life than this?
I had arrived at an answer to the most important issue that we humans ever deal with. Is there a God? And I had arrived there without ever really looking at the evidence. And I was supposed to be a scientist.
At 28, I had gotten many of the things that I thought I wanted. My girlfriend was on the cover of magazines, I had a Beamer, and I was so unhappy. It was a realization maybe that I would never find happiness where I was looking for it.
I think for so many years, I always just strived to be strong in myself. All I needed was me and my buddies and, we'd be like invincible. But the truth is, none of us are.
And I found purpose, I found meaning, I found hope. God took something so broken and made it a beautiful art piece.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
We are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith, and meaning.
Hey, well, that's the Alpha course, and Alpha is, as Kerry said, it's an introduction to the Christian faith. It runs over 9 weeks. We are going to be hosting it at all of our physical campuses and on our digital campus online. Yeah. So if you want to join us for the online version, you can literally, you sort of log in at 7:30. It's all on Zoom. It's all Zoom. It's all free.
It is.
You come along. Thank you, Kerry. And then we'll watch a short video. It's about 25 minutes. Each video kind of talks about a specific topic, or a question, and then you'll get broken up into your Zoom groups, into your breakout rooms, and then you can have those discussions. So.
And there's some great questions, like why did Jesus die? For me, that was one of the biggest questions that got answered in the course. So there's going to be really interesting questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the best part is that you can provide your own dinner. So whether it's a microwave meal or some spaghetti bolognese, you can provide your own dinner there.
It's great to see all the comments coming in, just congratulating Esty. I like this one. Garth says, you're glowing.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, thank you for comments. We really want to make this interactive, so it's not just about consuming content, but also about contributing and being part of this community. So thanks for the comments.
Definitely.
Tell us about what's coming up.
So we're really excited to have Wayne preaching with us this morning. He is going to be doing week 2 of our Dare to Dream series, all about Joseph being in a prison. And during his sermon, he's actually going to be taking up communion. So now's the time you can also get ready for that. So if you have communion elements at home, some grape juice, some bread that you can break. If you don't, that's okay. There are other elements you can substitute for. I saw, where was that person from in the UK?
Tea and rusks.
That's not where they're from, but you can have tea and rusks. You can have a piece of toast and some orange juice, whatever's around. But just you can get ready for the communion time with Wayne. And you can check out this video before we have him come up to preach.
So now we're getting traction in Northland Schools High School. The church is growing. We're doing a couple of services a day. But we know that Northlands isn't going to serve us forever, and we're going to outgrow it. And also we want to have our own place, So a friend of mine comes to me and he says he'll take it on himself to find a property. And one day he picks me up. He says, "I found the place," and he drives me onto this property where the Umhlanga campus is now.
So at one point I stood on the land that Grace Umhlanga is on, and I just realized that this must be church. It's staring down at the playground of Durban. It's staring up at the captains of industry. It just must be church. And so when I had a chat with Mark and we were having a breakfast together and he said Grace had bought the land, I was just overwhelmed with excitement. It seemed that God was at work once again.
I remember the day clearly in Northland Schools High School, saying to the church, hey, listen guys, we found a piece of land, here it is. And everybody kind of gasped, and I can just see, well, how much is it going to cost and who's going to pay for it? And I said, and you know the good news? A couple of guys have bought this land for the church already. The land is ours.
And we knew that it wouldn't be too long till the building started rising up out of the ground, and we had to plan to move the people across there as well as attract new people to the church. And I put my hand up to get onto a team with a bunch of other people at church, and we started putting together a strategy, a marketing sort of plan around not losing people that we already had, but gaining a whole bunch more people to fill up this incredible new building in Umhlanga Rocks.
We decided we'll do a land dedication. We pitched this fantastic tent on the site, and our idea was that everybody would, in a sense, have a stake in this thing. At a certain point in the service, we said to everybody, write your dream of what you want God to do in your life and the lives of the people that you love, and write it on the stake, and go out leave the tent, walk onto the grounds, and put the stake in the ground, symbolically saying, this is for God. And then we collected those stakes, and they're still in the concourse. You know, they're kind of a testimonial, a reminder of the contribution and the intention and the mission and the vision of what we're going to do. And so when it now was coming to completion and we were going to occupy the building, and it became clear that we would have our first service on Christmas of 2005. And so that first service rolled around, and not everything was complete. We never had our PA system up. We had a hire system and other stuff.
I'll never forget my parents being quite nervous and talking about how we were going to situate the people so that the room felt occupied. And 15 minutes before the service, the auditorium was full. I ran upstairs to my dad. He was getting ready for the sermon and said, Dad, it's full, 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 full. He looked out the window and there was traffic coming up the off-ramp from the M4. And he said, I thought there was an accident. I said, no, that's Grace. That's people coming to Grace.
The Grace story, as we approach the 30th birthday of Grace, began with a dream. And a dream is a cherished aspiration or ambition or ideal. The dream was a church built by the Spirit of God, a church without walls that everyone has access to, a church with grace as its shout to the world, a church inspired by this scripture, which I'll read for you. Then he said to me, this is the word of the Lord to Zerubbabel, saying, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of armies. What are you, you great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you will become a plain, and he will bring out the top stone with shouts of grace, grace to it. This is just an inspiring scripture. This dream for many years felt impossible and out of reach. Tom shared last week about that in the first week of the series. How do we trust God when we find ourselves in a pit of despair, our dreams dashed and seemingly out of reach? Pit happens, Tom made clear for us. I was inspired again as we listened to part of the Grace story, the dedication of the land on which the Umhlanga campus rests. The dream and desire that everyone would have a stake in the church without walls, shouting grace, grace to the mountain, which then becomes a plain, a wide open space of opportunity. I loved the invitation to the people 30 years ago, and that's a lifetime ago for some. For me, it's about half a lifetime. Write down your dream for yourself and for your family and for the people you love. Write it on a stake and hammer it into the ground, that wide open plain which is the Umhlanga campus. Those stakes, the dreams, the cherished aspirations of people have been built into the entrance of Grace Umhlanga, and the most visible stake declares that old truth, grace, grace to the great mountain which then becomes a plain. I wonder if those stakes hammered into the ground God provided in the face of the mountainous challenge of building a building that would invite all to come as they are. I wonder if those dreams included the impossible challenge of establishing the Grace Ballito campus above the bottle store and then eventually moving into 4 hectares of land in Ballito, which I predict one day will be in the center of Ballito. I wonder if those stakes included the impossible challenge of establishing the Riverside campus, the impossible launch of the Cornubia campus 3 years ago. Campuses, communities shouting grace, grace to the world during incredibly challenging times, offering God's grace and provision during the pandemic, offering counsel for the brokenhearted, going to the people online, the online campus, when it wasn't the loving thing to do to gather people, it was dangerous. Inviting all to come as they are, the church without walls, and dream the impossible dream again. The story of grace invites us to dream again. The title of our series, to dream the impossible dream again. The last 2 years may have bashed the dream out of you. If you're anything like me, you feel a little battered. The dreams and plans you have made have been simply snuffed out by global events beyond your control. You've had to plan and replan. You may be at a place where you simply dare not dream again because the hope will kill you. Here's the truth. Where we see mountains, God sees plains. Wide open spaces where we can hammer our dreams into. Dreams for our lives, dreams for our families, dreams for our world. And so I'm inviting you and me, let's dream again. Long before the story of grace, we find the biblical story of Joseph that we're walking through over the next 2 weeks and having started last week. This is a story that began with a dream of a young 17-year-old man. His brothers and father would call his dreams delusions of grandeur. What do you think? Is the world going to bow before you? Are we going to bow before you? Joseph was the 11th son of 12 brothers. I don't know if you can imagine that. I had an old friend, Bill. I used to run a Bible study at Pioneer Park up here, and Bill was a dear friend to me. He was 90 years old when he passed away. But Bill told me once he was the 11th son of 12. He was like the Joseph in his family, and he lived in Wales. What intrigued me was he said Wednesday was bath day. And he was the 11th boy through the same bathwater. Joseph was the 11th son of 12. Who knows what that felt like? The Joseph story is the story of what God has done. Joseph's story is the story of what God is doing and will always be doing. Ensuring that what goes down will come up. That's in a sense the title of this sermon. That which goes down must come up, because that's what God has always been doing. Always redeeming, always restoring, always healing. So the Joseph story is the story of a young man who dreamt that his life would matter, that he would have influence on the world and on his family. It's the story of a long journey upwards, from pit, which we talked about last week, to prison, and then to palace. But it's the story of a long journey upwards. Joseph dreams, and his brothers, he pits his brothers off really, and they throw him into a pit. Later they pull him up out of the pit, and Joseph must have thought, okay, that was a nice practical joke. I'm on my way up now. But he's not on his way up. They sell him as a slave, and he goes down again to Egypt. He's sold to Potiphar, a powerful man in Egypt, and Joseph is faithful in the tasks before him, and he impresses Potiphar, and Potiphar appoints him as his personal assistant, and he's on his way up again. He's given charge of all of Potiphar's house. Potiphar's wife finds Joseph somewhat scrumptious and attractive, and eventually, and he would dispel all her advances, but eventually she grabs onto his coat. He flees, leaving his coat behind, and she is fuming, and she frames him, and she reports him to Potiphar, saying, here I have his coat, he fled me, and Potiphar is fuming. He sends him to prison. Now, you may well identify with the ups and downs of the life of Joseph. And here's the truth. Too many ups and downs in a short space of time can really mess with your head, with your heart, with your psyche, with your faith. Can bring us to the place where we can no longer dream, plan, and reach for an ideal beyond which seems impossible. So I'd like us to meet Joseph in prison today. And let me read for you. But there in jail, God was still with Joseph. It's a beautiful truth. In jail, God didn't take jail from him, but in jail, God was still with Joseph. He reached out in kindness to him. He put him on good terms with the head jailer. The head jailer put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. He ended up managing the whole operation. The head jailer gave Joseph free rein, never even checked on him, because God was with him. Whatever he did, God made sure it worked out for the best. Now the king of Egypt's cupbearer and baker offended the king, perhaps a bad glass of wine and a stodgy croissant. But Potiphar throws them into the same jail that Joseph is in. So the cupbearer, people close to the king, and his baker are thrown into the same jail that Joseph is in, and Joseph is tasked with seeing to their needs. So let's read on. After they had been in custody for a while, the king's cupbearer and baker, while being held in the jail, both had a dream on the same night, each dream having its own meaning. And when Joseph arrived in the morning, he noticed that they were feeling low. So he asked them, the two officials of Pharaoh who had been thrown into jail with him, what's wrong? Why the long faces? And I love this. Joseph in prison notices that they were feeling low, and he inquires into their lives. He's faithful in the smallest act of kindness. They said to him, we dream dreams and there's no one to interpret them. Joseph said, don't interpretations come from God? Tell me your dreams. Tell me your dreams. First, the head cupbearer told his dreams to Joseph. In my dream, there was a vine in front of me with 3 branches on it. It budded, blossomed, and the clusters ripened into grapes. I was holding Pharaoh's cup. I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and gave the cup to Pharaoh. While Joseph said, here's the meaning. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will get you out of here and put you back to your old work. You'll be giving Pharaoh his cup just as you used to do when you were his cupbearer. Only, Joseph says, only remember me when things are going well with you again. Tell Pharaoh about me and get me out of this place. I was kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, and since I've been here, I've done nothing to deserve being put into this hole. Well, when the head baker saw how well Joseph's interpretations turned out, he spoke up. He said, my dream went like this. I saw 3 wicker baskets on my head. The top basket had assorted pastries from the bakery, and birds were picking at them from the basket on my head. And Joseph said, this is the interpretation of your dream. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will take off your head. Wow. Impale you on a post, and the birds will pick your bones clean. Well, I don't know what you make of those 2 dreams, but Joseph the dreamer, whose dream we have not heard about for years, he doesn't tell the cupbearer of his dreams, he tells him of his tragedy. Joseph, who's not talking about his dream anymore, listens to the dream of 2 others. One goes up, the other goes down, seriously down. And I wonder if he's not imagining which way will he go, up or down. How's the story going to finish for him? You may be identifying with one of these 2, the cupbearer and the cook. You may be feeling you're on your way up. Some may be feeling you're on your way down. Some may say there is no way up and there is no way for me to get out of where I'm at. For those who've suffered deep loss, there's no way to recover the loved ones we've lost and now are no longer with us. Some may feel like Joseph, I've been going sideways for years. And it looks like my life is just a sideways journey. Well, as we read on, and sure enough, On the third day it was Pharaoh's birthday, and he threw a feast for all his servants. He set the head cupbearer and the head baker in places of honor and in the presence of all the guests. And then he restored the head cupbearer to his cup-bearing post, and he handed Pharaoh his cup just as before. And then he impaled the head of the baker on the post, following Joseph's interpretations exactly. But the head cupbearer, and this is a significant verse, the head cupbearer never gave Joseph another thought. He forgot all about him. Wow. It would be 2 years before the cupbearer remembered Joseph, and Joseph would be taken up out of the prison, help Pharaoh with his dreams, take a position of great power, and through Joseph many lives would be saved. But that's a story for next week. Let's stay in prison for a while. You may well find yourself in the story of Joseph. Up, down, the dream for your life has been squeezed out of you. You may have dreams that have been forgotten. You may feel forgotten. You may feel like God has forgotten you. What you see in front of you is a mountain, and it casts a shadow over your life and your dreams. Here's what I want you to remember. When we see mountains, God sees a plain. When we see a setback, God sees a setup. Wide open spaces into which we can hammer our dreams. Michelle and I had a dream this year which held us together as a family. It was not a big dream. It was not a dream for world peace. It was not a dream for the end of global warming. It was not a dream for the end of world poverty and the pandemic, nor was it a dream for the end of hostilities between Russia, China, and the USA. We dream these things, but this is not our dream for this year. This was not the dream that held us together as a family. Our dream was that in December, this December that has just passed, my little family of 7, my 2 daughters, their husbands, and my newest little grandchild, Leo David Knox, would gather in London, the same place, at the same time, together for the first time in 2 years. With 1 week to go before our flights, we're counting the sleeps. Our South African scientists identify the Omicron variant, rightfully tell the world, and Boris Johnson shuts us down. Flights are cancelled and the dream is gone. I get a call at midnight London time, midnight South African time, 10 o'clock London time, and my daughter is saying, "Dad, we're on the red list." She's weeping. I'm thinking there's something wrong with my boy, with a little grandchild. I see red. I email Boris Johnson for the second time in my life, inviting him and his government to clearer thinking. 2 impossible things, I think. 1, that he would read my email, and 2, that his government would think clearly. It was the only little thing I felt I could do, is take control of my life. I listened to Sky News, a Sky News reporter saying, speaking of South Africa, where we obviously know the Omicron variant originates from, and I see red. I emailed Sky News, attaching the clip I'd videoed off my TV, inviting them to clearer thinking. They were messing with my dream. I preach at Mshlanga in the evening, I think it was, and I say, this dream's not gone. Good sense or God's sense will surely prevail, not just for me, not just for my family, but for many, many families who have a similar dream. Many dreams for connection and for togetherness. Our self-speak, us as a little family, is that we will get together for 3 weeks if we must, for 2 weeks if that's not possible, for 1 week at the worst, or perhaps if that's even not possible, we'll get together Easter next year. We whisper the dream to each other with very, very little confidence. On Monday the 13th of December, my friends are sending me news articles that things are going to change for the better. Everyone agonized with us. They knew what the dream was, and they agonized with us when it was dashed. On Tuesday the 14th, we have enough evidence that the borders would be open to us later that evening. So before the official announcement, we are rebooking flights before the prices go wild for Friday the 17th, and before the price got out of reach, we had our tickets. The next day, the prices doubled. We did what we could. And then that Tuesday, we book our pre-departure PCR tests, our day 2 PCR tests in London, and by 6 p.m., we're on our way. We're on our way up. Our dream is alive. I remember hitting enter on the computer, having just done the last bit of admin, leaning back in my chair. The administration is done when Hannah, my daughter, falls through the door and says, Jacques, her husband, who had taken a precautionary test that morning, having had some exposure to a colleague, that Jacques had tested positive. The dream is gone. In an instant. I had played squash with him on Sunday, prior to the Tuesday, and generally there's a lot of heavy breathing in a small space. My head exploded with all the permutations. We leave Jacques behind. That was easy. Just leave the man behind, but we never would do that. The others, 1, 2, or 3 of the rest of us test positive, and we leave them behind. So either 1 goes, 3 goes, 2 go, none go. We all stay until we're all clear and maybe get there for Christmas. We test positive in a relay. This was one of the thoughts. I get it then, Michelle gets it then, and basically over a period of 4 weeks we all have it, and we never go. My head exploded with all the possibilities. And then a quiet peace descends on me, and in a sense, I talked to Boris, I talked to Sky News, and now I talk to God. In a sense, I hear what Joseph said. Is God not the one who interprets dreams? Is God not the one who makes all things possible? Is God not the one who makes mountains a plain? And I've wondered if God was not perhaps interested in this dream of mine, this dream of ours. I was given the picture of the 10 lepers who were excluded. They were locked down. They were locked out. They had to ring a bell. They could not come close to anyone. And Jesus says to the lepers, go and present yourselves to the Pharisees. In our context today, go and present yourself to the testers. And on the way, they are made clean. They are made whole. They are put back together again. They're restored to community. They're invited up. One of the lepers returns to thank Jesus. So with this image in mind, I say to Jacques, tomorrow we will all go to present ourselves to the testers. And my prayer is that as we go, God will make us clean. God will restore us. God will make us whole. I'm not praying for a dodgy negative test. I'm praying for us to be well. And so we go. The next day on Wednesday, we socially distance ourselves. We test in separate cars. We wait. I walk 18,000 steps in my own home on Wednesday. And at 6 p.m. that night, the first test result arrives. Ironically, it's Jacques' test, and he's negative. And our hearts soar. God has done it. 2 hours later, and I don't know why God left us for 2 hours. 2 hours later, the 3 other test results arrive, and they are negative. The dream is restored, and the rest is history. 3 weeks with my family and little Leo, my 10-week-old grandchild, who seems to know stuff. I love the fact that Jesus says to adults, unless you see things through the eyes of a small child, you may miss things completely. So this little boy seems to know stuff. He seems to know how to stare down the mountain and see the plain. He seems to know. He gives an all-knowing smirk at the world, knowing that all will be well. He seems to smile because while we see mountains, God sees a plain. He seems to have a little roar in him, a roar of grace to the mountain, so that it might become a plain, and so that dreams might be real. He seems to know how to rest in his grandfather's arms, and he's like a hot water bottle to my heart. More so, he seems to know how to rest in the presence and the provision of his Father in heaven. So here's what I invite you to do today. Invite us to do. God is the one who interprets dreams. Write down your dreams for you and for your family and for the ones you love, like the Grace community of 30 years ago. Do what you can. Be faithful in the small things. As Joseph did, notice and inquire. Email Boris, talk to Sky News. But do what you can. And then talk to God. He's interested in the detail of your life. He's about restoring the world, but he's interested in the detail of your life. And is about making sure that what goes down comes up. Where we see mountains, God sees plains. So to make this tangible, we're going to share in communion today. Jesus says to us, I will come down so I can lift you up. I will come down so I can lift you up. And for us feeble-minded people, he sets before us tangible things of bread and wine. And Jesus says, this is my body, which is broken for you. Things are not as they are. This is my body broken for you in your place of brokenness. Take and eat, be nourished, be restored, and be thankful. In the same way, after they had shared meal together, and what a beautiful place to be around the table with friends and family. After they had shared a meal together, Jesus took the cup and he gave thanks and he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the new covenant. It's poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me. Jesus meets us where we are. He's interested in our lives, the simple stuff of bread and wine, nourishment for our bodies. And as we eat and drink again today, I pray that you would be nourished and restored, that you would dare to dream. God is with us in the prison as he was with Joseph in the prison. So I'm going to invite you in your good time to just share the meal. If you're on your own, if you're with others, just share in communion. Eat and drink and remember. And the beautiful closing liturgical prayer for communion is, thank you, God, for feeding us in this sacrament. Thank you, God, for uniting us with Christ. Thank you, God, for giving us a foretaste, in a sense, giving us a picture of the ideal, the dream you have for our lives. Giving us a foretaste of the heavenly banquet prepared for all of humankind when we're all together in one place, united and connected. So share in this communion. And as you do, remember the story of God, and then remember your story. Write down your dream. Commit to do what you can and talk to God. Amen.
Well, thanks, Wayno. Thanks for just sharing some of your own story. I know I was very much part of that, and just hearing your anxiety around getting to the UK. And I'm so glad that you guys were able to be together and spend time with little Leo. We're going to give you some more time to take communion if you haven't had a chance already. We're going to have some worship coming up. And that's a great time just to reflect. I know for me, worship is so important, but also communion is such a sacred moment. And so if you forgot to get your communion, juice or crackers, you can go do that while we have worship. But before we do that, we're also going to kind of take a moment just to respond through giving. And this is something that we do every week. And if you call Grace Family Church your home, whether physical or online, this is an opportunity for us to give in response to God's generosity and goodness towards us, even in the pits and the prisons. I love what Wayne said, that God is with us in the prison. Where we see mountains, God sees plains. And I declare that over you and over your family. So we're going to just take a moment to give. There'll be details that will come up on the screens. And as we were just chatting before the service started, and I was thinking about that from a giving perspective. And this week, starting is the Wholeness Counselors Training course. And I'm just very aware of those guys who will be participating in that, and you can still sign up and be part of that. But I think last year we did something like 900,000 hours, or I don't know if my figures are right, of one-on-one counseling.
Incredible.
And that's all free. It's incredible. And so I just want to remind you, for those of you who give or give in this time of the service, that when you give, you're giving towards things like our counseling ministry. That's literally marriage counseling and one-on-one and mental health. And it really is making such a huge difference. And that's just one of many of our ministries that you are participating in. So talk about joining God's mission to heal the world.
Exactly.
This is one of those ways. So,
tangible.
So when you're ready, you can give, and then we're going to go into worship.
Yes, we are. So however you're going to get ready for worship, why don't you do that now? And we're really looking forward to spending this time with you guys.
Yeah, and and I love worship. And if you want to continue to worship, it's not just we're going to play one song now, recorded here at Grace Family Church. But if you want to continue to worship, there's a whole playlist of Grace Family Church worship songs. That if you want to just keep going deeper, I know worship's one of your pathways.
Oh, I love it. That's me. I can listen to it all day.
So you can do that. Otherwise, take a look.
You're the God who is working all for good. What I feel doesn't line up like it should. How do I sing? How do I turn my heart toward praise? How do I sing? How do I turn my heart toward praise? I fall into kindness I cannot explain. In all of the waiting, in every prayer I've prayed, I fall into kindness. I'm choosing to trust. Here's where you meet me. You're with me. You're with me. Here's where you meet me. You're with me still. You're the God who brings dead things back to life. So then why does my miracle still guide? How do I sing? How do I turn my heart toward praise? How do I sing? How do I turn my heart toward praise? I fall into kindness I cannot explain. In all of the waiting, in every prayer I've prayed, I fall into kindness. I'm choosing to trust. Here's where you meet me. You're with me. You're with me. Here's where you meet me. You're with me still.
man, that worship was awesome. And I know that was they recorded those songs a little while ago, and I'm so excited to see what else comes out of that.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, if you're a worship person, if that's one of the primary ways you connect with God, why don't you take some time after this video to just continue to spend some time worshiping God, or maybe you want to take communion, take some time to do that. But yeah, we got our, just if you also want to go deeper, another way you get to engage is with our podcast and
Very
with our
exciting.
10 with Tom.
Yes.
So we had our first episodes last week. Jess interviewed Nandi Boss, and then we did a little bit around Joseph and the pit. This week I'm going to be exploring a little bit deeper around Joseph in the prison, kind of jumping off some of what Wayne said, and what that looks like in our very practical day-to-day life. And we've got a great testimony there as well. And then you're going to be doing the interview this week.
I am. I'm very excited. It's going to be my first interview that I'm actually doing.
Hey,
so I'm going to
there
be
we go.
cutting my teeth. I'm very excited. I'm going to be interviewing Jess, which is actually your wife, for those who don't know.
There we go.
And we're talking about basically her journey
Man,
from
you
going.
can just speak to her because we hardly speak to each other. No,
I'll make the effort for both of us. I'm excited though. We're talking about her going from prison and going from a place of being in a prison to using that as a platform. So I'm really excited to be diving into that with her. Awesome. A way that you guys can actually be notified of that is through subscribing to our various channels. So on Facebook, on YouTube, you can also click the little bell on YouTube. And then that way you'll be notified when these events go live, which is on a Tuesday and on a Thursday. It also just helps our numbers go up and take this message of Jesus out to the world. So yeah, definitely get onto that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sticking it out all the way to the end of the service. I remember in the Umhlanga campus for a while there, people would if we did a last song, people would just get up and go. So,
yeah, it's like, oh,
so
that's
if you're
me.
still with us, well done. We're glad that you've joined us. Hope you have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.